Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of this series. And today we are going to be doing hands-on. In the last 2 days, we've taken our time to understand what infrastructure as code has come to help us with. And in the previous video, we looked at Terraform. I did the introduction to Terraform. We installed Terraform. We talked about Terraform providers and their importance, what they do. We talked about Terraform file formats. We looked at the life cycle and we looked at the file structure. So if you've not seen that video, I plead with you to see the previous videos before you come to this so that you can get a good understanding of what we are trying to do. So today we are going to be working hands-on and we'll be creating a few resources starting from the resource group, storage account, and we'll see what we can be able to achieve. And then if we are not able to finish the resource creation, we can always complete it in the next video. So without wasting much time, we'll go. I said for this particular case, we need our VS Code. We also need our Azure account. So this is my VS Code here. I have my VS Code set up and I have my Azure account set up here. So the way we are going to be doing this is we are going to be using the documentation page for Terraform documentation page, which I showed you yesterday. We're going to use that to actually, guide us on how to set up these things. So, first thing I'll do Terraform. Since we are working with Azure, so we'll do Terraform Azure or Terraform Azure provider. Anyone, just type Terraform Azure. So we are going to come to the official Terraform page, which is the registry.terraform.io. So we click on it, and it will take us to the page that is specific for Azure. Like I said, Terraform works with different providers, and different providers have different ways that you can communicate with them. So since we're working with Azure, we're going to we're going to speak with this Azure page. So from here you can see authenticating to Azure using CLI and all of that. So you're already seeing examples of code snippets. And, let me see this. Let me see and you get started. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. So let's click on this. Okay, the first thing we're supposed to do is we're supposed to, of course, we're supposed to authenticate us. We're supposed to log in on our VS Code. So the first thing you're supposed to do is AZ login. If you've not logged in on your VS Code, so you do AZ login. So AZ login is what will help you log into your Azure account through the VS Code. I've done that already, so I'm not going to do that. So you can either log in with your username and password, or you're logging with a service principal with secrets, or you're logging with a service principal with certificate, and you log in with service principal with OpenID Connect, that's for CI/CD, or you log in with a managed identity. So once you've logged in with any of these options, obviously I just use the AZ login. You can just, you know, to verify that you're logged in, you copy that, you paste it here, and you want to see information about your account. So you do AZ account. So I can see my account. That's the details of my account, and I can see my directory, which is the default directory. I can see the email, this email that I'm using. So that's that about that. So you see your account and then you choose subscription that you want to do. But apart from that, first things first, this block, this is the provider block. like I have explained earlier about what providers is. Provider is what helps Terraform communicate with your different cloud platforms, even if it is Azure or AWS or GCP or even on-prem. So I'm even glad that the provider block was put in this particular place. So we're not going to waste so much time. We're going to use it as it is. But before we start, putting all the codes, let's go back to our VS and let's go back to our VS Code. So the first thing you want to do is there's a Terraform extension. That's why I said I always like working with VS Code because VS Code helps us to work with extensions. All these companies have extensions and make it easier for us to write code because you can't possibly memorize all the whole code or the whole syntax in your head. That's why there's extensions to assist us with things like this. So when you come to your extension, you click on it and you search for Terraform. So when you search for Terraform, the first thing it will bring for you is the HashiCorp Terraform. That is what we are going to install. That's what we're going to install. You see different extensions, but we are more particular about the official HashiCorp Terraform. So you click on it. I already have that installed. So if you do not have that installed, you will definitely see an install. Instead of saying uninstall, you will see an install button. So you click on install and then we install it. That is the only extension we are going to be installing for now in this particular phase. So that's one. Then secondly, if obviously we need to make sure that we create a .tf file. And the most important one is the main.tf. Just like I said yesterday, the main.tf is the main entry point for Terraform. You can define everything in your main.tf, but it's always advisable to break them down, use different files for different purposes, and explain what all those files different categories of files are used for. But to keep it simple, we're going to start with just a simple main.tf file. Just to always do it, start simple and then we graduate to making things a little more complex. Yes, so let me clear my screen and let's create a main.tf file. So we're going to do this. I'm going to do main.tf. So you can see that the VS Code has even changed. It has brought out the Terraform logo. You can see, well, you can even see it here and you can see it here also. So we have the Terraform logo and we'll start defining um what we want to do. The first thing you want to define in your main.tf file, let's assume now that we are using main.tf file for everything. The first thing you want to define is your provider block, right? So you can either come and pick this up or you can try typing on your main.tf. So I'm going to copy this just for the ease and I'll paste it. So we have 55 our providers. So Terraform is working with Azure. So once we have done that, then we can now go ahead to define the other things that we want to work with. So we are going to start with creating a storage account. So and to create a storage account, first off, you need to create a resource group. After you creating a resource group before you create a storage account, like I always say, I've mentioned this in one of the videos, you can't automate things if you don't know how to do it manually. I call it ClickOps. It is called ClickOps. If you don't know how to click on the portal to create a storage account, you would struggle with either using the CLI or using Azure template or Azure Bicep or any infrastructure as code too. So it is the process that you need to know, and you cannot know it if you have not done it by clicking through the portal and creating it. So what we want to do is we want to create a resource group And when I come here, it's my web Azure account. So when I click on resource groups, so I have two resource groups, 100 days of DevOps and the network water resource group. So we are going to create the third resource group, which we are going to the storage account to be in that resource group. So how can we do that? There are still two ways. You can go back to the documentation page. It has almost everything that we need for us to create whatever we need to create. So I'm just going to go down. Let's go back to Azure RBM provider and let's see if we can get resource group. Let's see if we can get resource group. Okay, so we have Azure RM resource group. So let's see. Let's click on it. So this helps you to create a resource group, set to manage a resource group. So you can come here and this is how you create a resource group. Just copy it. You define the resource. This is the plugin Azure RM resource group. And this is the name. This is the name that you can use. It is not the name of the resource group. It's the name that you can use to reference this resource group within just this block of code. But this is where you define the resource group itself. So I'll come and copy this, I'll paste it here. Okay, so we have our resource group. I want to name it, I'll name it Terraform. Terraform underscore ROG. So I'll name it Terraform underscore ROG. And I'm just going to give it a reference name of, I'm just going to do test. So you can see now that I have different name. I have test, which is the reference name within this block of code. However, this is the resource that will be created. And if you notice, there's always something in front of it resource because everything you create is a resource. Everything you create is a resource. So now you defined our provider and you've defined the resource that we want to create. So let's save this. Let's save this. And just the way we did the life cycle, there's the init, there's a plan, then there's the apply. So, but before then, there's a way you can validate your code. So you can do Terraform. Let's do FMC to see. Let's see the output of this. Okay, Terraform FMC basically what it does is that it checks for syntax errors. If there are any syntax errors, it would show you that is a syntax error or it helps you to format. That's it. That's the word. So you can do Terraform validates to validate what you have actually written. If there's an issue with what you have written, it will tell you what the issue is. So Terraform validates. So I try to validate. It's saying error missing required provider. The configuration required provider is not that, but the provider isn't available. You may be able to install it automatically by running Terraform init. So that takes us to the first stage of the life cycle, which is Terraform init. So when we type Terraform init, we'll notice something every time we need to show. So let's do Terraform init. That's where initializing Terraform on this particular folder or this particular file, as the case may be. So it's initializing this. So you can see it's your provider plugins is really interesting. It's already finding the version that matches 4.10 because that's what we defined here. We defined 4.5, and if you will see this time around, it is showing equal to, showing equal to. Other ones, it will show you a different one. to say the one we checked yesterday, I think it was 3 point something. But this is showing equal to, and the other ones, the symbols were different. It saw greater than or equal to. We also saw the technical sign greater than some affixes maybe. So we are still going to explore. I'm just using what was given to us on the Terraform documentation page, using it as is. So now, once that is initialized, you can see, if you come here, you'll see two more files of folder has been created. First, the terraform.log.hcl. Then the second is the Terraform, I say Terraform providers registry and all of that. So now, what does these two files do? This terraform.log.hcl, it just helps us in quotes lock the state of our code, in the sense that nobody can actually come and just modify anything anyhow. It tracks for changes. So you can't just come and modify anything, because like I said, one of the things that Terraform has come to do is consistency, being able to provision consistent environment. So it locks the speed of this particular code. In probably and a couple of videos to come, would look at the state lock in Terraform, and then we understand better. Then this second one, Terraform slash providers blah blah blah, is what actually helps Terraform communicates with the provider. So if you can see here, you can see Terraform provider AzureRM version 4.10. So that is because that's the version that we have defined in this particular place. If you define another version, this would change. So after doing Terraform in this, Terraform has created all this file. This is what helps them to track changes. This is what helps them to, lock your code to make sure that there's no issues. It's not tampered with, it's not deleted. So now that we have initialized it, the first thing we have done is we have initialized it. Yeah, we'll do Terraform plan. So I said that what Terraform plan does is that it shows you what is going to be created without creating it. It just shows you, it's like, okay, I'm going to create this. This is how the outcome will look like, but I have not actually created it. So that is what Terraform plan does. Terraform plan and Terraform apply, they are the same thing. The difference is for Terraform plan, the resource will not be created, but the app will be still output with Terraform apply. But when you see it and you're satisfied with what you have said, then you can now run the Terraform apply, and then whatever you have defined in your code will be created. So it is looking through the code and seeing what has been defined, then we'll get an output. So if you can see Terraform has been successfully initialized, you may now begin working with Terraform. Try running Terraform plan to see any changes that are required for your infrastructure. So it's already telling you what and what you need to do. So all these things have actually been made to simplify things for us, where it gives us the instructions on what to do. Same issue we had when we worked with Git. We had an issue, and in Git there was two options where we did rebase. I think we did each one of the two. We tried the first one, it didn't work, and we tried the second one, it worked. So all of these things are there. So now they said subscription ID is a required provider when performing a plan or apply operation. So main.tf line 13 in providers. So let's see line 13. Okay. So providers Azure. So it needs a subscription. I think it is saying more than one subscription. So let's resolve that. Let's go back to let me delete this. Okay. So let's come back here and see. I think I saw something. Okay, so I can set subscription ID. Let me copy this again. This is the account list. So you might not encounter this issue if you have just one subscription. So for me, I think I have like, you know, is the account list. Okay. So I have more than one subscription. So I'm just going to use this is the one. This is a subscription that I'm working with. So I'm going to set the subscription. Okay. So copy. I could have also used this here, but let me set the subscription first, and let's see if that is going to work. So I'm just going to delete this and I'll do this. So let's copy this and let's paste it. Okay, easy account. I think nothing help. So I'm trying to okay. Let's see easy account show. Okay, so it's using this current um account. So let's try it again. Terraform plan. Let's see if we are going to get any errors this time around. So I'm going to give it a sec for us um, to go through it. And now, if you go to my top left, you notice that another file has been created, which is the terraform.tfspace.log.info. It is still Terraform creating files to monitor everything that we are doing. So that is what Terraform does underneath a hook. While all the trees you just define what you want to do, and then Terraform talks to the providers and what you define is created. Right. But like I said, we are going to look into this in subsequent sessions to come. So I think I'm just going to pause the video and maybe come back once this has been properly verified. Eventually had to define the subscription ID in my provider, and yes, that's that. And I ran Terraform plan again. So after I ran Terraform plan, you can see Terraform uses selected providers to generate the following execution plan. Resource actions are indicated with the following symbols. So it is creating. It is creating. So now say Terraform will perform the following actions. Terraform resource group dot test will be created, and it is just the way we defined it. The ID will be known after applying. Yeah, so there's some things that Terraform will conceal from you until after it has applied it, but there's some things that it is going to show. So you can see the location like we defined West. You can see the name like we defined Terraform ROG. And this is the plan. It is to add one that is creating new resource. It is not changing or it's not modifying any resource. It is not destroying any resource. So this is exactly what we will see. We'll see this exact output when we run Terraform apply. But the difference now is that if I go to my Azure portal right now and I refresh this page, I refresh it, we only have the same two source that we saw. But when I go back here and I do Terraform, Terraform apply, and I hit on it. So wait, it's going to give us a prompt where we are going to choose. It would tell us, do you wish to proceed with this blah 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 and all of that. Then we will choose yes. And once we have chosen yes, it's going to go ahead and create those resources. So let's give it a sec for it to come up, and then we choose yes, and it will create the resource. So there's a way you can also overwrite like that. Instead of it giving you the prompt to choose yes, you can just do there's a flag that you can actually add to it to straight away to not ask the question to just create that resource. But I wouldn't really advise such. I wouldn't advise such because you want to be able to see what is going to be created, modified, or destroyed before you're given the option to choose yes, because you might make a mistake, there might be an error or an issue, and if if you really automatically choosing yes, it's almost like you you might be in trouble, as the case may be. So I always prefer to have the option to either choose yes or choose no. So let's give it a sec. Sometimes these things take time because obviously this interacting with the APIs of the cloud provider. So once this has been executed, we'll be back to continue from where we stopped. Okay, so now you can see that it is the same thing. It is the same thing with this output. This output is the same with this output. Now the only difference is, say, do you want to perform this action? That is the only difference. So, and the only option that will be accepted is yes. So only yes will perform this action. Any other option apart from yes will not perform this action. So we are going to go ahead and type yes and press enter, and then Terraform mode, do its thing and create the source. Okay, so now we can see that the resource group, you can see what was created. Creation completed after 23 seconds in my subscription. And you can see apply complete. Resources that was created was one. Resources resources was created, one resource was added, zero was changed, and zero was damaged. So if we go here to my resource group and I click on refresh, I'm supposed to see the new resource group that we have created, and you can see it here, Terraform ROG. So when we click on it, when we go into it, we don't see anything inside it. So that is how you create a resource group with Terraform. So we are quickly going to create a storage account also, or do I just do we create a storage account in this video or do it on the next? Um, okay, okay. So I would like to end the video on this. So we've been able to define our providers and we've been able to create a resource group on Azure from Terraform. With defining just a few blocks of code. So in the next episode, in the next video, we're going to create a storage account and we're going to create a virtual machine also. So I hope you've been able to learn one or two things. I hope you've enjoyed the session. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and also most importantly, turn on your notification bell so that when I post the next video, you get notified, you can watch, and then you can add to your knowledge. So I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.